Welcome back. In the last lesson, we looked at how to insert links on the web page, and we looked at how to insert an image just for us to illustrate the attributes that this takes. Next week, we are going to look in details at the anchor tag for hyperlinks and then the image tag for inserting image on a page. For this week, we just want to use these two to illustrate attributes and the attributes that they take. As we go along and we introduce more HTML elements every week, we are going to talk about the attributes for each of these elements. For the anchor tag, the most widely used attributes are the href attributes and the target attributes. For the image tag, we use the source and the alt. There are other attributes that can be specified here for different reasons, but that will be discussed in an advanced course. For the image, we inserted an image link in the source attributes. This can also be a path to a document you have on your file system or on your server, wherever it is, but the source attribute takes both the URL or the path to a local file that you have. The href attribute will take the link of where to move to within the page or within another page or another website when the link is clicked. So now we want to look at the style attribute. This is one attribute that we use to specify the style that we do not want to be changed by any external files or by any file anywhere. The style attribute takes priority over any external cascading style sheet or any embedded style sheet. Now let's look at what cascading style sheet is. In HTML, when we create a page, we can have a style tag in the head area here. Now whatever you put between the start and end style tag is going to be a style that is applied to just this page. If you have a whole website that has several pages, the style you put on this page is specific to this page alone. Now for good design practice, we mostly use external style sheets, which we use the link tag as we saw in week 1, and we put the href attribute to specify the path to that external style sheet that we want here. The real attribute to specify the type of file, and the real is equal to style sheet. We also have an attribute that we put here, type, and the type is text/CSS. Now we can see how we use attributes here within the link tag. The link tag is a tag that we use to specify the link to an external style sheet. This will be handled in another course, but in this course we are going to use the style tag and the style attribute. Now when you want to write a style for your web page, now our web page is blank, we do not have styles, just what we type in there or the default values that HTML has, but we want to know what to do to make this website look nice or this web page look nice. We want to apply style to this web page, and we have 3 ways we apply style, and we just look at them using the link tag for external style sheet, using an embedded style in the head area with the style tag, and using the style attribute in the start tag of the element to specify the style that we want for that tag. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages of all of this method? Now the external style sheet is the best because you can apply a style site-wise, and every time you want to change the style, all you need to change is the value of the link element, the href attributes, to change to a different style sheet. When you make any change in that style sheet, it applies to your whole site. But when you use this embedded style, and let's say you have the same styles and you have hundreds of pages on your website, you have to repeat the style in all pages. When you want to make a change, you have to change in each of the page. When you do that inline in the tag, which means that I want to put a style here, so that means everywhere I have, let's put it for the anchor tag. So the style is an example of an attribute that you can use for any element. Okay, so let's say I put this style attribute here, and let's put a CSS property, let's say text decoration. So I want to remove the underline, so you put it like this: the name of the attribute equal to the value that is quoted. Now for CSS, you have to put a CSS property, a colon, and the value of that property. If you want to have several styles, you can use a semicolon to separate them, and then the next thing I want to write now is the next property I want to do. Maybe I want to change the color of the text. I'll change the color now to be, let's say I want it to be brown, for instance, like this. When I refresh my page, this style is only going to apply to the Facebook link here. So we see Facebook, there's no underline, it's changed to brown here. It still works the way it's supposed to work, but we change the style here to be like this. We can come back here and add more styles and say we want to change maybe the background color. Okay, I want the background color for that link to be, let's change the background color to red, and then we change the text color to white. So when we refresh, so you can see now we are beginning to make this link look nice, but it applies only to the first anchor tag. So the disadvantage of this is every time I want to put a style and I want the same style for all the links, I will come here and have to put it for each one here. And if I change my mind about the background color, I have to remove it from every of the tags. So, but the advantage here is that no matter the style sheet you have, external style sheet, bootstrap, whatever you specify, the inline style here, so we call this inline style, takes priority. So if you have another style for your anchor tag in an external style sheet or in the head area, this style is going to take priority. So this is going to be applied, not that one. Now we've seen how we put the CSS property and the value using the style attribute. What if we delete this? Let's say we want to use the style tag. The element we are putting this on is the anchor tag. We can specify the HTML element and then a pair of curly brace, and within that curly brace we put the property that we want to change and the value. So the first thing we want to change here is the text decoration, none. The next thing we want to change is the color. Let's say this time we want the colors to still be white, but we want the background to be black, so we'll change background color to black. So we have this style here. You'll see that these ones that are in line with the style attributes will still remain the same, and the ones that don't have the style attributes will have the style in the head area applied. So the inline takes priority. So when I delete the style attributes properly and I refresh now, we'll have the one in the head area with the style element applied. Now, to apply styles to an element, you can either specify the element name or you can have a name of a style. Let's say for instance I want this to be my links. That's the name of my style. So I have this style name, my links. I will either put a hash sign like this which specifies ID, or a dot sign which specifies class. Now if I use the dot sign, it means class, and I don't want this specified on all of the anchor tags, which means that I use a name of a style, my links. Now it's going to remove this style from here and go back to the default because I have changed the name for the style. I'm no longer putting this style on an HTML element, but I'm putting this style as a custom style I have created, and I put a dot in front meaning class. If I put a hash meaning ID. Now why is it useful that we put either the number sign or the pound sign or hash sign, or we use a dot in front of the name? Because it now determines the attributes that will pick up this style. Now because I use a dot, it now means that I have to use a class attribute here. When I say class is equal to, and I have to put the name of the style, my links here. And now when I refresh my page, it's going to be applied to Facebook, because now I have used the class attribute to specify the style. It has a dot. If I change this to a hash, there's no longer any class of my links, so this is going to lose the style because now I change the name of that style to use the ID hash. So what do I do? There's another attribute called ID that I can change this to, and then the style is going to be applied. Now what is the difference between class and ID? If you want to use the style for many tags within a page, you want to use the class attributes and you want to use a dot for the style. If you want it to be unique, you use the hash and it's going to be ID. IDs usually means uniqueness. And so when we get to courses like JavaScript, you'll see that when you put an ID for something, only the first one is recognized and the rest are not. So we want to use class when we want to use the style for many elements, ID, hash, when you want to make sure that only one element has that particular style. So we'll see the ID attributes. We use it to specify several things, not just the style, as we move into looking at hyperlinks in the next week's lesson. So the same thing for the image. We can specify a style for the image. So let's put image like this. So for the syntax for CSS is just to write the name of the HTML element, or your custom name of a style, put a hash or a dot in front of it to specify if you are going to use a class attribute or an ID attribute. If it's just the name of the element, it just means that it will automatically apply the style to that element without you doing anything further. So we want the image to have a height of 50 pixels. Now the properties and the values of CSS are things we'll discuss in detail in the CSS course. It is advisable that if you are taking this course, you move further to take CSS and JavaScript as they become open, because you cannot be a front-end developer with just HTML. With HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you can move further to learn frameworks and become a full front-end web developer. Alright, and so we use the width here. Now let's say we want the width also to be 50 pixels. Pixels is one of the units of measurement in CSS. Alright, so when I specify this height and width for the image, automatically this image will resize to be a small image down here. So you can control control the size of the image, and it's important to always have the height and the width of an image so the page does not flicker when it loads. So this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, next week, we'll look in details at hyperlinks and images. Thank you and see you next week.